places. It's hard to carry on when you feel all alone. Now I've swung back down again. It's worse than it was before. If I hadn't seen such riches, I could live with being poor. Oh, sit down, oh, sit down, oh, sit down. Sit down next to me. Sit down, 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 down. Sympathy.
So, Kenny, at the moment, it's just the two of us. Gracie and Kyle should be joining us shortly. And we're enjoying the World Cup. I need to say FA Cup then. World Cup. And it's been some surprise results. But before we get into that, we'll have a quick chat about Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean, were you expecting that to be a termination by mutual agreement?
Yeah, it had to be done quickly for Man United and all parties. There's no way you could he could come back from the World Cup and then return to Carrington. It just wasn't going to happen because he wanted out desperately, and Man United wanted out as well. I think even before his interview, I think Ten Hag would have just said, "Look, we're not getting on. He's not going to start for me. Let's see if we can cut our losses." It just shows you one thing that they always say in football: never go back, never go back. Same with managers. We see managers go back and it hasn't worked. Hal Kendall went back to Everton a few times. I've seen players do that. It never ever works. It's never the same. But saying that, he did his job. He did his job. The rest of them didn't. And I find it. People say, "Oh yeah, but it was because of Ronaldo. We didn't do this, didn't track back." But he was brought to score goals, and he scored goals. But in terms of how it went in the second season, not doing a pre-season was a mistake. But then again, not saying you want to leave only left it for me. Left only one thing to happen: time for him to leave, and then that's what occurred. The interview was just.
No, go on. Sorry, mate. Sorry, carry on.
The interview he did with Piers Morgan was just basically contrived by him to say, "Look, I want out of here. Boom, boom. If I do this interview, I could speed up my exit. Who knows? He might have some offers, but he probably just wanted to concentrate on the World Cup without any speculations. So it's a win-win, but it's a shame. But it's been coming for Man United because I just said to you before, and I said on Lee's show, as long as Man United have got poor infrastructure behind the scenes, they're not going to be able to compete. It doesn't matter which player they get, how much money they spend, and what managers they get. You're only strong on the field if you're strong off the field. It's shown in football.
I totally agree with when I saw that interview, I thought this to me seems totally contrived. This is his way of getting an early exit out of the club. Now, whether all the things and facts he stated were true, I don't know. He said about poor facilities at Carrington, etc., etc. For a big club like Man United, do you, Kenny, think that's actually going to be the case?
Well, I do think so because there has been talk about the stadium infrastructure needs updating. There's definitely been talk about the situation. If you look at their under 19s or academy, the fact is that the best players are going to Man City as opposed to Man United. So if their youth setup clearly looks strong, and whenever Man City play them off the park, that shouldn't be a situation. When a club of Man United structure, they should be getting the best boys in the Northwest. They used to before, but that's not the case. There's a situation where ex-Man United players are sending their boys to Man City. So clearly they don't think that everything's okay with the set of Man United. And I think with what Ronaldo is saying, it carries more weight if an actual employee, like gives a bullet point list of all the problems, because you can say it's bitterness, you can, but the only bitterness is probably the time of it. But the fact is that from where we're standing, we could tell a mile away that there's problems at Man United. They're not fit for purpose when it comes to competing off the field. Gary Neville's, as every time Man United lose a match, Gary Neville, rather than talking about the actual match, he'll talk about everything that's wrong behind the scenes at Man United, and he isn't the only one. The system's not working, and that's why they never compete. Managers like Jose Mourinho and Van Gaal, if they had the right facilities and right setup behind the scenes, they'll be challenging for titles. Might even won a couple. That's how good they are. But if they can't live within that setup, then something clearly's got to be wrong. Even when Man United, finish in the top 3 or finish in the top 2, there's a massive gap between them and the champions. They finished second in 2018. There was about an 18-point gap on Man City when they finished second again. Not this in 2021. Again, there was a gap points-wise between themselves and City. So something clearly isn't wrong. It clearly isn't going well. That there's still a massive gap between the Man City, and then there's a bit of a gap between Liverpool. And then if we get it right, there'll be a gap between us. And then there's a gap. Man United should never, ever, in my opinion, ever be, be left behind by anyone. They should be trans.
No, I agree. The thing is, what I find a little bit odd about this, Kenny, is that Sir Alex Ferguson's still involved with the club in some capacity. So why has he not stepped up here and basically said, come on, to the Glazers and whoever else, and said, come on, we need to step this up. We're not competing. We were once the biggest football club in English history. I mean, nobody can deny that. So why do you think it's because he doesn't have the influence now?
Well, he clearly doesn't have the influence because, the fact is that he has to be frustrated, but his frustration is clearly tempered by the fact that he's getting a massive salary of a multi-million-pound salary to be an ambassador. Obviously, I wouldn't say no to that if I was him as well. But the fact is that everything he built is being destroyed brick by brick. It was going. We now know it was going wrong even while I was there, because let's not forget Wayne Rooney tried to force a move to Man City on the guys that Man United weren't ambitious. So again, that's another red flag that was definitely there at the time. But because of Sir Alex's stature, the fact that he made Man United competitive, he was able to paper over the cracks and still see off the challenge of Chelsea and Man City. It's clear that after he left that basically there was no foundations and that he was paper over the cracks. But in terms of like what he's doing now, well, the problem with Man United is that they're a victim of their past. One of the problems was when Sir Matt Busby retired in 1969, 68, 69. They got in a guy called Wilf McGuinness, and obviously Matt was in the background, and there was a saying that a lot of managers after basically felt hamstrung because Sir Matt Busby was always in the background. There was a time when he actually took over the caretaker manager's vacancy after they let go. Was it Frank O'Farrell? And it's a case of like when Alex Ferguson tried to retire the first time, Martin Edwards was probably saying, well, he's against him having a seat on the board because of what happened with Sir Matt Busby and the other managers. So maybe there's an agreement that in order that managers don't feel hamstrung, he has little to do with the club, but he still is a presence. And I think that's what the agreement they have within themselves. But again, that's his price. For him keeping quiet, he gets an ambassador's role and he gets a job for life at Man United, which he's earned. But in terms of like foundations, I just think that it's a bit of a cop out, but it's understandable if that's the mantra. But Man United need to realise is that they do need the great man, their great man, to be involved. They have to, because simple reason is that he's the only one who can arrest a slide or can suggest arrest a slide. I mean, you know, he's one. Surely he should know what made them successful. What made them successful? You know, getting the right people behind the scenes. But if he's just there to be a figurehead and take the money, then more for Man United. It's not his fault, but I just think that it's his club that's been destroyed before his very eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I find that such a big club like Man United to actually fall apart. Hi, Gracie. How are you?
I'm good. When I say I've just walked in the door, I really mean I've literally just walked in the door. But I'm here. I'm sorry I'm late.
No worries. No problem.
It's been crazy. It's been crazy. Crazy day.
Spain are going mental at the moment, beating Costa Rica 7-0 now.
Sorry,
Wow.
sorry, guys. I was going to mute myself because it was Gracie's turn, but I actually pressed it.
Don't worry, man. Don't worry. Gracie, yeah, we're just having a quick chat, Kenny and I, about Man United, everything that's gone wrong behind the scenes, it seems. What, you obviously, I don't know if you actually saw the Ronaldo interview with Piers Morgan, and Kenny said it. I agree with Kenny. I think that was constructed for him to get out of the club. Do you see that as possibly a valid reason?
I actually agree with Ronaldo on this one, which is, it's a bit controversial, but I agree with him because I think it's very unheard of for players to come out and speak their actual what is going on inside a club. As fans, we speculate these things, but it's nice for someone to actually come out and say, right, this is what is actually happening and this is the problem. I think Ronaldo has been a massive problem for Manchester United, but not in the way we think it has. I think he wanted to leave, and he knew by doing this and saying the things he did, he knew that was going to happen. I feel like it just needed a bit of a push to happen, because I doubt Manchester United would want to let Ronaldo go on a free unless they had to. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. Really, I'm agreeing with Ronaldo. I think by him terminating his contract, it works out in both favours. It works out for Manchester United. They get rid of the problem. Ronaldo can go somewhere where he's clearly going to be more happier. But with what Ronaldo's done for the club in his first spell, even this spell, he's still scoring high amounts of goals. Compared to Arsenal and our strikers, he's still scoring more goals. I feel like it's a bad way for a really good spell and a career at Manchester United to end. I don't think it's the right way for it to end, but either way, it works out in both favours. And I wish Ronaldo the best, whether it's going to be in the Premier League, which I don't think it will be. And that's that, really. I agree with what he said in his interview as well, and I'm very much sticking by what he said. It's interesting to see from a player perspective that has been in the industry for so long, seeing what is actually going on inside a club, what they think of the owners. It's good for someone to come out and speak their mind about it.
Fair play, yeah. Let's get Kyle in. Kyle, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, good, James. I apologise there for running a bit late. The Road Safety Authority pulled me in there to go through the bus and ask questions and stuff like that. So, yeah, at the wrong time of evening, let me tell you. So, anyway, it's over and done with, so I'm not too bad. But I catch you there. You're talking about Ronaldo, James, yeah?
Yeah. What's your opinion, my friend? Go on.
Yeah, James, Ronaldo, I don't particularly like him, but great footballer. And he worked hard all his life, dedicated himself to be at the top level. And you can't question the man's mentality, winning mentality. He's done it all. He's one of the greatest players ever to play the game. And I think the man is right. If something is wrong, it has to be said. And look what's happening over the last 24 hours at Manchester United. I'm sure the fans are happy now that the lads are going to sell the club. I'm not too happy about it because God only knows who's going to buy us and invest so much money in him again, and they could be back with a bang like years ago. But I don't blame Ronaldo. We had the same thing here, Jays, with the World Cup. Roy Keane. He spoke out about our country and about the state of the country in the World Cup preparations. The man was spot on. That's the level those players are at. And they expect the best of the best. And if they're not getting us, they're going to speak out about it. And people will listen to the likes of Ronaldo, the likes of Roy Keane. Like him or not, they're at the very top level, you know what I mean? So I think he's right. And I think it's going to kick Manchester United up the ass to improve what's going on there, as we can see over the last 24 hours.
Totally agree with you. This is a good question from Joel. I'll come to you, Gracie. We'll go do a round robin. Ronaldo, would you want him at Arsenal?
No. Simple answer, no. I don't think he doesn't fit the profile of Arsenal and what Arsenal players, in my mind, should be. And it breaks Arteta's youth project. So either way, it's not going to work. And I feel like, yes, he brings a lot of experience to the table, and he's been in professional football at the top level for 20 plus years or whatever it is. And he is very good still at his age. But I don't think the Premier League is for Ronaldo anymore. I don't think he would come to Arsenal as well in respect to Manchester United. But after everything that's happened, I don't know. And knowing Arsenal, we would probably pull a stunt like this. I'm not going to be like cursing Arsenal if it did happen, because it's Ronaldo at the end of the day, and who doesn't want to see Ronaldo? But it's a no from me. That I just don't feel like he'll fit in our system at all. But as a backup striker, then but it's Ronaldo. He's not going to want to play backup. So who knows?
I totally agree. I mean, let's put the facts on the table. I don't want him. I think he'd be far too disruptive. We've had disruptive players in Ozil and Aubameyang. We don't need that anymore. Arteta's got a plan, and at the moment that plan is banging. And let's get it right. Arsenal aren't going to pay him the money that he would demand. And personally, I think his time's done. I can see him ending up in somewhere in the MLS, in some team over there, probably Beckham's team, maybe. I don't know. Kenny, what's your view? Would you accept him at Arsenal?
No, not at all. Not at all. 10 years ago, all day long, but now not at all, because simple reasons that I agree with Gracie. Arteta has a very all sort of, the way Arsenal play is a bit like at the moment they're trying to emulate Man City and Liverpool to the extent that off the ball is just as important on the ball. I can't see Cristiano Ronaldo fit into the system. I can actually see Cristiano Ronaldo getting really frustrated with the way we play in terms of him not being a focal point. So it'd be a no from me. But one thing about Cristiano Ronaldo is that he will go to a Champions League club, because simple reason is that he wants to like I said, still maintain his record. It's the Messi thing, isn't it? He will not leave top level European football unless Messi does, because he's in competition with Messi. There's absolutely no way he's going to want Messi to get anywhere near his records, or let alone break them. So I can see him playing in Europe all day long. And, there will be, as a free agent, he'll still be able to name the price, because it's risk and reward, but the rewards are high from a financial point of view in terms of merchandise. You have to look what happened with Juventus. Look what happened with them. They paid them, was it £44 million for him? They made it the weekend. They made it within the weekend of him being there, in shirt sales alone and merchandise. So he still is the biggest name in football, him and Messi. But it's not even close. When you put in Mbappe and probably Haaland, financially from a business point of view, they're not on his level. So it's always going to make sense for a club in Europe to get Ronaldo, just as much it will make sense for the club in the UAE or the MLS to get him. But personally, for me, I can't see Arsenal going there, and I can't see him want to come to Arsenal. He's a Man United boy. Man United is a club he loves. He don't love it. He'll go Chelsea under sufferance, but you never come to us. No way.
No, I'm personally, no, I don't want him. I think at this point in time, I think there's some issues there. Personally, I don't know where Kyle's gone. We lost him, but we'll move on to the next bit. I I wanted to quickly talk about. It's a general footy chat tonight. Glazers talking about selling Man United, estimated $5 billion. What's your view on that, Gracie?
Crazy times in football. Honestly, the World Cup comes in an unprecedented time. Ronaldo's terminated his contract, and now the Glazers finally want to sell. I think personally, I feel like the timing's really off. After the interview and after everything has come out, and finally from fan pressure as well, I feel like the pressure from the fans is Manchester United fans is building more and more on the Glazers. And when Ronaldo, one of the best players in the world, is saying they don't care about the club, they're thinking, right, our business is in jeopardy here, because this is just going to spark a lot more fans to get on our backs. And I feel like it's time for the Glazers to sell. I mean, the price tag is very, very high. I personally don't see who would come in at that price, but it might be, we're talking a Saudi Arabian sort of investment maybe. But I don't really see. I feel like they're going to have to devalue that slightly, because $5 billion's a lot. But at the end of the day, it's Manchester United, so the big history, big club, requires big money. But we'll see. The Glazers are all about business, and they're clearly not. The investment's not working out for them, and that's the business side of football. But it could be really positive for Man United, which is not good for us at the end of the day.
No.
So long as the Glazers stay, for me, it's fine. But for Manchester United fans, we know they've really made their stance, and unlike other clubs, they actually stick by their protests, and they happen most of the time. But we'll see. I feel like it could, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen quickly. I think the more time drags out, the more unlikely it will to happen. But a lot of it, I feel like the timing's very in tune with what Ronaldo's been saying. So maybe they've finally seen sense.
That's an interesting point. The valuation is, I don't know. I mean, I'm not attuned to that sort of knowledge, but will they sell, or will they look for a major investment? That's possibly what they're aiming at, overseas investment of some description. So, Kyle, we lost you for a bit there, mate. We're talking about the Glazers will possibly sell Man United. Estimated value $5 billion, which is a huge amount of money. What's your opinion on it, Carl?
Yeah, Jace, it's interesting because you have Liverpool up for sale as well. So these American owners are kind of...
We've lost him again.
That's the old Irish Wi-Fi.
Oh, that's not a nice sound.
No. Cheers, mate. No. Right, Kenny, I'll come to you on that one. Do the Glazers really want to sell, or are they putting this out there that they're going to get some investment, overseas investment? I mean, we know that at one point the Glazers were ripping money out of Man United to millions and millions and millions of pounds. At some points they were in serious debt. I mean, hundreds of £1 million in debt. So, do you think? What's your opinion on that, Kenny?
Well, the thing about it's quite interesting. Everyone talks about the timing of the fact Ronaldo's interview and the fan protest. But one thing people forget: Liverpool are open to selling as well. They both. So the common denominator between Liverpool and Man United has to be the breakdown and the failure of the Super League, because that's where they could make real money. But the fact is that British football fans, basically dug their rules in, kicked and screamed, and for the foreseeable future, it's not going to happen. But in terms of the Glazers, for a start, if they've when they bought the club, they actually remortgaged they actually they remortgaged Man United onto their debts. So, you know, as part of their they bought an asset in order to use it as collateral for any debts they have to their banks. So if they're going to sell Man United, they're going to have to at least get the money for the debts they owe to the banks. So fact is that they are going to sell at the highest price. Plus, it's Man United. You know, everyone knows that Man United is the biggest club, and still, you know, world football in terms of merchandise, it's insane. It's insane. And this is a club that hasn't won the Champions League for 14 years, and a club that hasn't won the league for 9 years, but they're still making money because it's Man United. The biggest so they are, you know, at liberty to ask for that money, and there will be consortiums trying to raise that money in order to buy it, or someone who probably gets turned down from buying by Liverpool might say, you know what, let's have it. And because at the end of the day, history has always said, if Man United get it right, and I'm not talking about Liverpool, I'm not talking about Man City, not about Arsenal. If Man United get it right, we might as well all go home. And it's been proved. They were like a shadow of the club they were in the 70s and 80s. But when the Sir Alex came and they finally got their how do I say it, their S together behind the scenes with their youth project, we couldn't compete. So if they get the right owner in and he realises and speaks to Alex Ferguson and say, how do we compete? Help us. And they get the right people. And like Chelsea did, we might as well all go home. We'll be playing for second place again because Man United is you would see who's the biggest club now. All these people, a lot of young fans, I'm not including you, Gracie-Mae, but a lot of young fans assume that Man City and Chelsea have been bigger than Man United for years when they're not. But Man United are big historically, but when they get the right people behind the scenes, they will show why they're the biggest club in the country, and their dominance will be probably more refined than Man City's. They'll get trophies, they'll win Champions Leagues again, and it'll be unbearable. You know, before we had a reason to hate Man United because we're envious of them, but now we laugh at them. We won't be laughing for too long. Trust me, they get the right investors or investor and get their stadium sorted, get the academy sorted, get the director of football, get the best in the land. Basically, play for second place.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that. I mean, I remember when Man United got relegated from Division 1. I think it was 73, 74, something like that, around about 72 maybe. And that was a massive, massive shock. I mean, I was a little kid. And there was loads and loads of people, even living in North London, that were Man United fans because historically Man United were the biggest football club. And when they got relegated to Div 2, that was a hell of a shock. You know, it was a major shock in football history. That Chike says Germany 1, Japan 2. This is not even an upset, my G's. Thank you, mate, for your super chat. Very kind of you. I was going to come on to this, so we'll come on to it now. Gracie-Mae, I know you've been at college all day, so you probably haven't seen that game.
You'll be surprised.
I watched it, and I was seriously surprised. Seriously. I mean, there's been some really strange results, hasn't there? We'll come on to another one in a minute. But this one today, I actually predicted that 3-0 to Germany and totally went the other way. What went wrong?
I mean, there's this funny thing at the moment. The World Cup, I've kind of actually got into it. I'm not a massive fan, like yourself, Jez, of international football.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt you. It's weird. This is so weird. Maybe because now I've retired. I've got time on my hands. I can sit here, watch all the games. I've only missed 2 so far of all the games. And I'm absolutely loving it. I'm really getting into
Yes.
this. I'm getting to know more about international players, and watching the games. I'm actually buzzing on it. I really am, to be honest. You
Yeah,
know?
I mean, it's like I think it's the atmosphere of it all. Like even at school, you go and you'll see like a year group, and they're sitting there with a computer that we get given, and that we're watching the game. Or you walk into a class. This is always the infamous history teacher. If you ever want to watch a game, you walk into his classroom, because I guarantee it's on like the projector. So we have been watching the games. I know the England game, I wasn't there, but the England game, the whole school stopped for the afternoon and everyone watched the England game in their classrooms. And I think it's that whole atmosphere. It's like really lifted up. I mean, I'm sitting there doing my work, but I'll still have like the game on in the background, which it's fun, and it's nice to see football being brought to people that wouldn't usually watch it as well. And you hear conversations about it all the time, like countries and players that you'd never even heard about. I actually predicted Japan to win today, so I'm happy because we're
Really?
we're running like a little competition at school, and we're predicting results, and I did say 2-1 to Japan, so I'm buzzing on that. I was very happy.
You'd get some pound notes out of that.
Maybe, I can't say because that would be underage gambling.
You know.
But it's at school, so it's fine. No, it's been good. Some really shock results. I mean, I was just watching the tail end of the Spain game there, and it's like we're looking at 7-0 plus, and even the England game, I'm just shocked, absolutely shocked. I think the test comes for England against the US and Wales. I think the main concern are those, but them drawing puts us at such an advantage, because really we could draw or win, and we're at a bigger advantage than them. And it's really getting into it, and it's really interesting to see other players, even our players as well, like Tomiyasu. Saka has been amazing. It's good to confidence booster and experience for them. I hope we get to see more of our guys out there. I mean, even Matt Turner, he played pretty well, I would say, against Wales. Yeah, really well. So it's good for that as well, and it's really like it's built an atmosphere. Like even people in my family, like my sister, surprisingly, is not massively into football, and she's got an England shirt, and she's been getting into football because of the World Cup more and more. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to watching England play on Friday evening. I'm going to rush home from work and watch the game. So yeah, it's getting exciting. I think England have a good chance. I would say that, but Harry Kane might be out, so who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean it's we'll go. You know, you're saying about you're at school and that. My grandson, who's 8 in December, and he's just really starting to get into football. His school, his primary school, allowed that afternoon they put on a big screen in the school hall the England game. So Kenny, you're a massive advocate of international football.
Yes.
I partly blame you for my interest now.
It's your fault.
But go on, mate. Go on.
No, all I'm saying is that the fact is that I always notice that when England go out of tournaments or the World Cup ends, we feel kind of bereft. But I think we got us kind of a cushion, which is the Premiership the week afterwards. Because don't you think that after World Cup or European Championships, you've got to wait about another, in some cases, 6 weeks for your Premiership to come back? You're chomping at a bit. You don't have to do that. But, I heard everything you guys said about the shocks in terms of what happened yesterday with Argentina and today with Germany and just the tournament itself. First and foremost, football's always going to be the winner. There are always going to be people who are going to try and disrupt our great game. People who don't have an interest in football but have an interest in getting their views out there, and because it attracts big money, and it's a platform where everyone's interested, so everyone's jockeying to get their views out there. Whenever football has a transgression, people who are not, like involved in football will have an opinion. But one of the things I said to you off air and what I've said in the group, the gap between the alleged smaller nations and the alleged established nations is getting smaller and smaller. we shouldn't be shocked that Germany lost to Japan. Germany not the side they were, when they won the World Cup in 2014 or back in the day in the 80s and in the 90s. The same with Argentina itself. Argentina, they are beatable. The fact is that a lot of these players who play for, your Moroccos, your Tunisias, your Saudi Arabias, and your Japans are playing top class football. They're playing in the top leagues in Europe. They're not playing in the MLS.
Yeah.
They're playing in their local leagues in Japan or Saudi Arabia. They're playing in the top leagues. And if you take Saudi Arabia, they've got a huge Argentinian influence and their league's strong. So, I think what's happened is that we're very complacent, and the established teams are probably not producing enough players from their countries to play for for their countries. But what's going to happen in 4 years' time? That's when these countries, alleged small countries, are going to be level pegging with all the big clubs all the big clubs, big countries, because it's only going to be a matter of time. You look how fitter, the Saudi Arabia looked as compared to Argentina. Look how fitter Japan looked as opposed to Germany, or Tunisia looked opposed to Denmark, and how the Moroccans looked against Croatia. They were fitter than all of them. But you know what the excuses are going to be? Oh, we don't normally play the World Cup in November. Oh, we had to play all these games without a bit of rest, and our players are tired, and we had so many injuries. It'll be an excuse. They won't accept that the rest of the world's catching up, but they're going to get a short, sharp shock in the next tournament in the USA and Mexico and Canada, because don't be surprised if this is a norm. Let's not forget, we all thought when Germany lost to South Korea, oh yeah, it won't happen again. Well, it won't be in the next World Cup.
Absolutely, totally agree. And this actually, I think everybody's anticipating my questions tonight. I was just going to come on to this. Diego says it will be interesting if Premier League club scouts, technical directors are at the World Cup. Which areas need to strengthen? Now, I actually had down here my last question I was going to ask, but we'll do it now. Do you think Edu is out there?
I'm in divided opinion about that, because it's great if he is, because it is an actual really good opportunity to focus on some players, because they're going to be playing at their best, right? They're going to want to be performing at the best. So it's one of the best times to look at certain talents that maybe we've had on our list. I know Jude Bellingham's one of them that we're eyeing up apparently. Players like that, it's a good opportunity. But on the other side, I would hope that he is back here now as our sporting director, coordinating things with the players that are left. But also, he's basically got however long the World Cup is, of like four weeks or so until we come back to the Premier League to sort out our January transfer window. He could arrange it all. This is his perfect time. He's basically got a break in his job of week in, week out football to go, right, let's sit down with all the directors. Let's say, right, we want this player, this player, this player. Let's contact their agents now. While maybe this certain person isn't at the World Cup, let's contact their agent now. Let's get that deal almost over the line. So when it comes to January, all you got to do is sign the paperwork. So it's a bit of you got to have the best of both worlds. But ideally, I bet he's at the World Cup for other reasons.
He'd be on his jet ski, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Kenny, do you think, or yeah, you might know, you've got inside technical knowledge. Do you think Edu's out there doing the business, watching at the games, looking, talking, eyeing up players?
I think a lot of people, especially like people involved in the game, are there for professional purposes. If they're not, doing punditry for the TV stations across the world, then they're definitely doing it there to do business. It's it's a kind of a networking thing, isn't it? It's like, if you go to any sort of like award ceremony, people are not there. They're not interested in awards. They're interested in whether they can do some business. I think Arsenal probably have their targets a lot earlier than they would during the World Cup. But there is some new talent out there that Arsenal may be looking at. So yeah, he will be there working. But if he isn't, he'll be on kind of some Microsoft Teams, definitely out there, and Arsenal scouts will definitely be out there. I think the top clubs in Europe will be looking at all the players. There's going to be a lot of players who are going to be who probably in the last 6 months in their contracts from January onwards, they'll be looking at them. Remember, every time Arsenal are in some sort of sort of transfer window, the name Tielemans always comes up. Well, he's going to be playing in a few was it half an hour or so against Canada. So I'm sure some from Arsenal will be out there looking at them. But again, we'll be looking at players from Japan. We'll be looking at players from the African nations because we need to get them in because physically they've shown during this World Cup that they are what we're looking for in terms of our game. So yeah, he'll definitely be out there. If not, he's got a scout out there doing the business. It'd be a fool not to look at this tournament and see what players we can get because, as we all said universally, the squad's thin and it will cost us big time.
Yeah,
absolutely, totally agree. And this is where my concern is that this is where Arsenal, at times, I'm afraid, let themselves down because we know that you're going to have Chelsea, you're going to have Newcastle, you're going to have Liverpool, you're going to have all the the big names. They all have people out there looking, watching, talking to people, touting it out there, looking to get some interest known to the player. That Arsenal are looking at you, Liverpool are looking at you, Man United even. Definitely Newcastle will be with all their contacts out in that part of the world. They're going to be into it big time, and with the money they've got to spend. So, I seriously hope that Arsenal are doing their business because if we've talked about this previously. If Arsenal don't strengthen in January, we ain't going to win the Premier League. At the moment, we're 5 points clear, looking good, looking positive, but we need to deepen. We need to strengthen. We need another striker. Sorry, Nketiah is not the man. He just isn't. I don't care what anybody says. He's just not good enough. He couldn't make it at Leeds, so why is he going to make it at Arsenal? So, anyway, we'll move on. We'll move on from that. Saka. Wow. Absolute class and quality the other night. I felt sorry for him, Gracie. He got hooked. He was looking for that hat trick. And I was willing him to stay on to get that hat trick. And I have to say, he looks absolute sharp.
Yeah.
He's razor sharp at the moment. And, whether he's out there to prove a point of what happens in the Euros, are you thinking that this could be a massive step up for him? And I'll just, before you answer, Arsenal are talking to him about a new contract, yeah?
Yeah.
He hasn't signed it yet. This, with his performance at Arsenal so far this season, and with his performance so far with England, do you think that could be an issue with him probably getting touted by, dare I say it, Barcelona, Real Madrid, PSG, other clubs?
I think I'll come to the second bit first. With Saka, we have to think he's come through the Arsenal academy. He's supported Arsenal his whole life. He is Arsenal. He screams Arsenal, and I think this World Cup is a perfect opportunity for him to come back out of his shell, because I feel like in this season in particular, I feel like Saka has been very quiet compared to what he could be. This World Cup could unlock that. It could be the key to him getting his confidence back from the Euros and saying, "Oh, do you know, my international career, this is I back at elite level. It's that massive confidence booster to say, well, I did that. So imagine what I could do at Arsenal. I'm up against the best in the world at the World Cup, but also imagine what I could do in the Premier League after I've just done that. It could open many new doors, and it may open his eyes to what he has at Arsenal to sign that contract. I don't know him, but that's what I would be thinking if I was sat in his position. He's been fantastic, and he's been very different to what he has been at Arsenal, which kind of shocks me a bit. I've kind of, in recent months, I've, been a bit negative about him because I haven't liked the performances I've been seeing. But he's stepped up at England, and that goal, fantastic. One of the goals yesterday was fantastic. The first one, the volley, wow. Do you know what I mean? That's the Saka. That's the Saka we know, getting into that position, not trying to weave it into the goal like he does at Arsenal. No, he's waiting for the perfect opportunity, he's waiting for that perfect pass, and he's going, right, I'm going to make the run now, and he gets the goal. I feel like he's a massive key in the England squad as well. You can tell just from the way we set up, and he works well with all the guys at England as well. So I feel like it's going to be a really successful World Cup for him. And then when he gets back, hopefully he'll sign that contract, because I feel like he's also a key at Arsenal, even though, I have been negative about him, etc. He is a massive part of our squad, and he's involved in every single game. So for me, I wish him luck at the World Cup, and hopefully they can go all the way, including Saka, because it's a massive for a guy his age. It's not going to be his first World Cup. It's only going to be his first. It's going to be his first World Cup. It's not going to be his last. So there's many things to come.
Totally agree, Kenny. What's your view on Saka? He's been awesome so far in the first game. He looked like, to me, he had a point to prove.
Yeah.
And he's proven it. I personally hoped he was going to stay on and possibly get his hat trick. I mean, both his goals were absolute class. I mean, so as I said to Gracie, Arsenal in talks with him about a new contract, but we all know, don't we? Come on, we all know that there's going to be clubs looking to come on for this fella. What's your view, Kenny, on that?
Well, first and foremost, if I was Saka, I'd be asking for the 2 moons, and if I get the 2 moons, I'll stop negotiations to say I want a 3rd moon. You know what I mean? Because really and truly, that's what I would do, because he is hot property at the moment. His career, he started off the season pretty slowly. The team was kind of moving away from him, but I think since the Tottenham game, he's been back to his best, performance-wise, and I think that's win-win for England. I think he had a lot of proof, not because of what happened with the World Cup, the Euros, in terms of missed a penalty, but I think it's a case where a lot of people question his selection of the side, because there's school of thought that maybe Phil Foden should be playing in that position, because Phil Foden's had a really good start of Man City, and he's been in the goals as well. But I think in terms of what England need in terms of pace and an understanding with Trippier or Alexander-Arnold, Saka out to play from my perspective. So I had no qualms about that, but I'm not surprised at his performances for England. But it's got to be one game at a time, because it's only a beginning for Saka and England in this tournament. But in terms of himself, one of the things is that we want him to have a break, but I'd sit away and let it happen, will he? Or I don't think Gareth Southgate will happen as well, because as I keep on saying, the only player I can think of at Arsenal who's scared to the living daylights out of defenders on a consistent basis is Saka, more than Martinelli, because I think every time he gets the ball, he'll have a few players around him, and when he gets in the box, he'll draw a foul, or he'll have a shot on goal. People scared to touch him in the box because he's too quick with his feet.
Totally agree. Right, quickly, we're going to wrap this up. But very quickly, Mike Denton says here, is Jude Bellingham really out of our reach? Gracie, what do you think?
No, I don't think he's out of our reach. I think it's very possible. And maybe with working with Saka, etc., it could happen. I don't think any player is really out of our reach, to be honest. But in the position we are in currently, I feel like we're in a promising position to start enticing players like Jude Bellingham to come. We have a fantastic, well, say fantastic. We have a youth team, a really young team, and that may attract Jude Bellingham as well. Come to the Premier League for a different challenge. I don't think he's out of our reach. I feel like money wise, I don't feel like he's out of our reach either. I've heard talks, many of the England squads like Declan Rice, people like these. I don't think any of them are out of our reach at all. It's just how we do the business and how quick we do it, because people are going to see, other teams are going to see Jude Bellingham. I guarantee Newcastle will be looking at him. I could see him going to Newcastle and they'll pay double what we will. So if we want it to happen, we've got to do it now and get it over the line as soon as possible.
Totally agree. Kenny, before we wrap it up, you have your last say about, do you think we can get him?
Well, yeah, we've got to pay the money. And, to a certain extent, if we're paying that money for him, we've got to build a side around him. So he might want to come, and Gracie's right. It's times like this that Arsenal should start a big club. He shouldn't be. Oh no, he's not coming. We shouldn't go for him because he's a cert for Man City, a cert for Chelsea or Liverpool. If we're a big club, act like a big club. Offering 2 moons.
Yeah, totally agree with you. I think we can. I think now we have our sporting director, Mr. Edu. The man that can do the deals, then let's go for it. Let's not mess about. Let's prove that we are a big club, and we are a big club, and we're going to do it. Gracie, we're going to wrap this up. Where can we find you, Gracie? I think we are doing a watch along for the
yes,
Wales-England game. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, thank you, Jez. Thanks for having me on. Sorry I was late again. It's honestly actually crazy scenes. I have to do this experiment, right? And I have to wait for it to get dark. So I have to stay at school until it gets dark, and I have to measure the stars and see how far they've moved. And
Wow.
it takes a long time, and it's very arduous. But you can find me over on YouTube, Gracie-Mae. I am trying my best at the moment. When I say I'm busy, I really am busy. I have lots of content piled up. I just actually have to edit it and work on it. So I will be back soon. We are doing a watch along on Tuesday for the England-Wales game, so that's going to be fun. And then I know, Jez, we're doing our Christmas special around Christmas Eve with many guests.
Yeah.
Which will be fun. I'm looking forward to it. And I actually have a few Christmas specials lined up of my own before it hits Christmas. So you just have to stay tuned while I plan those. And it'll be good fun.
Very quickly on that, Gracie, I chatted to you last night, right? Right? Bought this bloody jumper, right? And, bought it, tested it, all working yesterday, and now all the lights don't work.
Well, Jez, that'll teach you for buying too early.
Well, it's going back to Amazon. That's for bloody sure. It's fine yesterday. Anyway, end of that. Kenny, where can we find you, my friend?
At Kenny Kane 1972 on Instagram, having a bit of fun in there. But in terms of Christmas, it's going to be Christmas from the first of next Thursday.
Next week, yeah.
Yeah, next Thursday, you're going to go in a shop, and all you're going to hear is, "Last Christmas" from Wham. You're going to hear, you're going to hear Mel, God bless his soul, the late Mel Smith and Sue, Mel and Kim. In terms of rocking around. You're going to have John Lennon, God bless his soul, Paul McCartney, God bless his soul, and then you're going to have probably Band Aid from 1984. So these are the Christmas music you're going to be getting, because, if anyone doesn't realise it's Christmas from next week, they're sure going to find out when they go into every shop, every McDonald's, and just hear the music go.
Well, tomorrow is start of Thanksgiving in the United States. So big up to you guys in the United States. Have a great, happy holidays. Enjoy it. I'm sure you'll be getting your turkeys prepared tonight, or certainly tomorrow. And driving home. I love that song, Chris Rea, Driving Home for Christmas. Yeah,
You
great.
love Christmas, Jez. I don't get into Christmas until it's very close to Christmas.
My wife has said to me last week, whatever, she's putting all the decorations up on the 3rd of December.
Yeah.
And
Agreed.
the wife and I are massive into Christmas, and we're going shopping tomorrow for new garlands and all that sort of crap. Because the ones we've got are all a bit knackered now. And so yeah, we're big into it. And we've got this year. Christ, I've got a house full. I've got both the daughters, both the grandson, granddaughter, and yeah, it's going to be
Chaos.
House is going to be an absolute mess, chaos. But anyway, we'll wrap it up here, people. Thanks for watching. Go and enjoy the next game. I'm looking forward tomorrow to Brazil, to the next game, Brazil.
Yep.
I love watching play Brazil. They're my first main memory of World Cup history. The awesome 70 team. We had Pele, Jairzinho, Rivellino, Alberto Carlos, all those awesome players. And so I'm looking forward to that. So anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great evening, and looking forward. I really am looking forward, Gracie, to doing the watch along with you.
Yes.
On the England.
It's me versus you, Jez. You're Welsh, half Welsh. I'm English.
I'll
Game
have
on.
my new Wales shirt on, which is arriving tomorrow. So yeah, I'll be probably very one-sided on that night, and so we could end up rowing Gracie and arguing and shouting.
Who knows? Tune in, people. You'll find out.
Yeah, it could be awesome, but it could be like, oh my days. Personally, I think England will win.
I think it'll be close.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. And Ken, thank you, mate, for coming on. Gracie, mate.
I enjoy myself. You know, like the World Cup's one of the greatest great tournament, and I know people will be enjoying it. And
I'm loving it. I'm actually loving it. I don't think I've ever been this excited about World Cup since
I think the sight of the World Cup was the emotion of the Welsh fans, especially there's one lovely lady that the tears in her eyes when she's thinking this can't be happening. You know what I mean? And but if I was Rob Page, always play your best number 9. Because I'll tell you, if Wales don't hold the ball up against better sides, they're going to be in trouble. Got to play. You know what I mean?
Totally agree with that one. And anyway, everybody, thanks for watching. We've had about 30 maximum, I think, tonight. But I'm not surprised at that because of football, whatever. But I'll play the outro and then we'll call it quits. Thanks, everybody. Much love. Enjoy the football. And we'll see you all.
I'm relieved to hear that you've been to some far places. It's hard to carry on when you feel all alone. Now I've swung back down again. It's worse than it was before. If I hadn't seen such riches, I could live